Alright, what's going on, dudes, and welcome to yet another weekly Minecraft Snapshot. You know, I gotta take a moment, gotta hand it to Mojang for over the past couple of months, and especially over the past couple of weeks with these last few snapshots. They have really taken it up a notch as far as adding lots of cool new features into the game all at once, and obviously, we still have to go over everything that was added in this snapshot, so yeah, awesome stuff, and let's not delay any further. So, I'm in creative mode right now, which is what I'm generally in when I do these so that I can easily access any new blocks that were added. But the creative mode inventory was actually just overhauled for this snapshot. So we've got a bunch of different tabs now that have separated the blocks into different categories so it's easier to find exactly what you're looking for. This is sort of similar to the way the inventory system works on the Xbox version of Minecraft, which is something that I actually really liked as far as new changes to that version. So cool stuff that now that is similar in creative mode on the PC. So we've got building blocks, decoration. Not gonna lie, not entirely sure why chests and workbenches and furnaces and jukeboxes and ender chests and enchantment tables are decoration. I guess technically anything is decoration, but those seem far more functional than anything else. But redstone, we know what redstone is, transportation, miscellaneous, search. So there's actually a new search. So we're actually going to need some torches in a little bit here. So why don't we go ahead and get some. TOR, it narrows it down to torches, redstone torches, and detector rails. And let's go ahead and delete that so you can easily find any item you're searching for if you don't necessarily know which category it belongs to specifically. Then materials, brewing, combats, tools, and foodstuffs, consumables. And finally, a new thing, which is the survival inventory. So previously, you're probably aware of the fact that in order to access your old 3x9 inventory in creative, you had to actually go get a workbench or a furnace or something like that, right click on it, and then you would see your full inventory. So that would just be cluttered with tons of random stuff that you might pick up accidentally and you wouldn't know it's there. So now you just get to go straight into your inventory and there you are. We don't actually need this workbench anymore, so why don't we conveniently use the new destroy item feature. So if we want to take something out of our inventory, as opposed to dragging it back into another screen, we can just drag it into the destroy item right there. So cool stuff. Very, very handy and convenient, and it should make it just quicker and easier to find items in creative mode. All right. So talking about game modes, creative versus survival versus there's actually a new game mode. It's called Adventure. It's not actually fully implemented officially yet in that you can't access it when you're creating a world. You can't do survival, creative, adventure. You can't select it there. But if you have cheats enabled and can go into text, you can go / game mode tab, and then you have three options. You have survival, creative, and adventure. So let's select adventure. And as you may be able to sort of guess from if you're familiar with the mod AdventureCraft, this is similar to that. You can't actually destroy any blocks. You can't place any blocks. I don't think you can use buckets either, but I think you can interact with, say, redstone and the like. So basically, just the way that Mojang is supporting adventure maps in the vanilla game. So pretty cool. If you make an adventure map and it's not one that requires the destruction of like clay blocks or something like that, which is kind of common, but just redstone, then yeah, you don't have to worry about people cheating so long as you create a world with no cheats enabled and people abide by that without like modding the actual save file itself in order to allow themselves to cheat. Again, that only hurts them because the adventure map is for their fun and enjoyment, not the map creators. So anyway, new game mode, pretty cool. Let's go ahead and switch on back over to creative. And now we'll go ahead and take a look at one of the coolest new features that has been added. In the last snapshot, obviously, they added pyramids. This time, there are these cobblestone temples that they spawn in jungles. Obviously, this one's sort of on the edge of a few different biomes here, but cobblestone jungle temples. This is the reason we needed some torches, because I wanted to light up the inside here. So, nothing on the top. Now, apparently, there is some sort of, like, tripwire trap down here. So tripwire, we can go ahead and introduce that, is actually new block that has been added. Okay, so there's a lever trap, and apparently there's some tripwire traps with, there we go. Okay, so this is tripwire. This has just been added in this snapshot. Basically, what's along the ground, what the actual tripwire is string. So why don't we go ahead and grab some string by just searching for it rather than trying to figure out which category it's in. And we'll place it on the ground. So string is now able to be placed. This one is floating. As you might be able to guess by my placing string in the air, you can actually have a floating tripwire, which could be kind of deadly. But anyway, when you connect two tripwire hooks to some string, you can create sort of a trap. So what happens is when you actually walk over this, it outputs a redstone signal through that block, and obviously it's connected to some bit of redstone, which you can see over here. So when I go on, redstone ignites. When I walk off, it turns off. And apparently there are some arrow. Okay, so we have a dispenser right here. I just placed a torch on, and it has some arrows in it. So apparently, is it working? There we go. I'm just in creative, so obviously couldn't feel the arrows hitting me. I'm pretty much Iron Man at this point. Not a big deal. So anyway, if I were in, say, survival, let's go ahead and switch over to that. Then, ouch! So probably not going to kill you unless you're low on health searching this place, and it's probably pretty apparent that you're going to see that dispenser, even though it took me a few seconds to realize. But anyway, that's the tripwire, and we'll go over it in depth in just a little bit, so you can know the ins and outs if that's something you're interested in. All right, but anyway, for the time being, let's go back into survival, creative, excuse me, and now there are also some chests in here, some more tripwire with tripwire traps, arrows trying to shoot me. Let's take a look at the lever puzzle. So back to focusing on the actual temple itself as opposed to the tripwire inside it that we can get to later. So I guess there's some sort of combination lock or something with this. I don't know if it can kill me if I get it wrong, but I guess we can just try to keep guessing. I should probably go over this in a systematic fashion or something. I don't know. I'll probably just have to cut to when I get it correctly or something like that. Okay, so for the life of me here, I cannot figure out what the combo is. I hear pistons moving behind, but I don't know. I think there's a potential that there's some sort of terrain generation glitch, and the spot where the pistons are supposed to open is perhaps just obstructed by something. So I think we're just going to dig around and try to sort of see what's up from the outside. So, okay, let's see. Going to try to, hopefully I'm not destroying anything of importance here. I'm going to try to figure out where it's actually supposed to open here. Okay, well, there's a chest behind here that has diamonds in it, as well as iron and gold and more bones. So it really doesn't, what does flipping these actually do? It appears to do nothing. Let's see. Put a torch down in here. Yeah, it doesn't look like I can actually... Hold on, let's flip this one and see if it actually does anything up here. It doesn't look like it. It appears that, unless I'm missing something extremely obvious, which is totally a possibility, it doesn't appear that there is actually a way to get back here, which is interesting. Oh, wait. Okay, I think... Oh, hi there. You surprised me. So we have to retract that. And then push that out, and then retract that, and then it allows you to get down from the top. Okay. So I'd sort of assumed it was going to open up a side passage, but it appears it actually opens up a room from the top, and you had to do the combination lock, quote unquote, in a specific order. It wasn't actually just a specific pattern. You actually had to do it in the proper order. So anyway, I guess now that's how it's done. So you have to take the block from up there and then pull it back. It's probably similar in all of the structures like this. So anyway, now you know. That's how you do it. Okay. So anyway, loot chests that give you lots of fancy items like diamond, iron, gold, similar to the desert pyramids. So yeah, just another cool new thing to find, so you can get more items. And I'm not sure, maybe in certain places it'll give you emerald. I think I recall reading that somewhere, but no emerald in this one, unfortunately. Okay, so now that we've taken a look at the temple, why don't we take a look at some of the remaining features. So we'll start off with changes to enchanting. So you may notice I have an enchantment table here, but it's surrounded by 15 bookshelves actually, including the corners, as opposed to the standard wraparound with the 2-block gap in front. Reason being, the max level cap for enchanting has actually been reduced to level 30. Have no fear though, the actual enchantments you can receive have not changed. They've merely been adjusted to fit the new level cap. So if I keep replacing the sword, you'll notice that the bottom enchantment is always level 30. And that's because at this point, the bottom slots in the enchantment table will now always show the maximum enchantment you can possibly receive with your current bookshelf configuration. So previously, if you wanted a level 50, you'd have to just cycle through forever. Maybe you'd get lucky, but generally it would take quite a while of just replacing your item over and over until you get your level 50. No longer do you have to do that. It'll simply show the maximum level in the bottom, dependent upon your bookshelf configuration. Maximum now being 15. So that's cool. Makes it a lot easier to get really nice enchantments. Now, another change that has been made to make leveling up even easier is that now when you mine ores, you can actually receive experience for doing that. So actually, let's go ahead and change over into survival. And then we'll go ahead and mine some ores. So at the moment, and probably on into the foreseeable future, it is going to remain only working with coal and diamond. So you'll notice my experience bar going up and experience orbs dropping out each time I mine one of these. And the reason it's only going to stay with coal and diamond is because obviously when you mine out gold and you mine out iron, you actually get the iron and gold ore in return for that. So naturally, what people would do is they'd farm experience by doing this over and over again. So that's why it only works for coal and diamonds. But obviously coal ore is all over the place, so that's another way to get experience, and already from that, level 6. So makes it a much easier process as opposed to having to make an XP grinder and kill mobs over and over and over and over and over and over again for a really long time. All right, so now another change that has been made is with the trading system. So let's right-click on Mr. Testificate, and now there's actually a possibility you can spawn a villager that requires 2 input items in order to get something out. So in this case, that's a pretty good deal. You can put in 21 coal and you'll get an emerald out in return. There was some back and forth with Jens adding the emerald ore in, removing the emerald ore, and then adding it back in again. At this point in the snapshot, the emerald ore actually is back in the game. I'd assume it's going to stay that way. And it is actually more rare than diamond. So anyway, good luck finding it naturally. So yeah, in another case, we might have coal and we might have wheat here or something, and you put them in the 2 spots, and then you get whatever you want in return. So 2 slots trading system is new. All right, so now there is another small change. This isn't anything major, but when you actually toggle the rain, so let's go ahead and toggle downfall, our cauldron will actually start to slowly fill up. I haven't done this before, so we'll have to just hover over it and see how long this is actually going to take, or we can start taking a look at something else and then come back to it. Why don't we actually go ahead and do that? So let's mine out some wood here, and we're going to take a look at one of the other changes that has been made. See if it's filled up yet. Nope. Okay, so let's put down a furnace. And if we go into our furnace, we can place down a piece of wood. And now that lava will actually smelt the wood, but it'll leave the bucket behind, which is new. So you can now, you don't have to waste your bucket if you want to smelt things with lava. So there we go, some charcoal, and we still get to keep our bucket. Obviously that wasn't entirely efficient. The lava can smelt more than just one piece of wood. But anyway, that's new. Cauldron still isn't filling up apparently, but it's there. It's added even if we don't end up seeing it. And then finally, last change that thought I'd go over is a change to half slabs. So let's change back into creative for this, just so that we can simply place them and replace them. So if we now place a half slab on the top half of a block, it'll actually be a top half slab. So in the past, obviously, you'd have to place on the bottom, then place on the top. You couldn't actually just have a top half slab. So yeah, pretty nifty. Still cauldron not wanting to fill up, and there's nothing overhead to prevent it. Oh well, maybe it really doesn't want to. So yeah, that's about it for the most part. This guy apparently just takes a really long time to fill. I guess it makes sense. I mean, rain takes a long time to fill things up, so. All right, anyway, that's about going to do it. So thanks for watching, guys. And in the next video, I'll actually take a closer look at the way the new tripwire works, and I'll go over that more in depth. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.